All right, here we go, guys. Intro to Solidworks, covering what we went over in class today. Today's class was all about my first assembly file, creating an assembly file for the first time. Came up with this really simple example that I got from the CAD Junkie, cadjunkie.com. Showed me this, and I'm going to add a couple of little twists to the tutorial that I gave you guys in class today so you learn something extra if you're following along with these videos. So anyway, what we did is we created this nice cube. It's 6 by 6 by 6 high. And the first thing I was trying to do in class was shell it out. I was trying to take this solid cube and turn it into a hollow cube that has a certain specified wall thickness. So what I did was I just took my little arrow here and drew a big box around it until I thought it was all selected. And then I went in here and I added in my wall thickness of 5 millimeters. And I do a checkbox and I break the whole thing apart. All of the front facing sides of this cube just disappear, leaving behind this thing that is nothing like what I wanted. So after coming home and playing around with it for a little while and thinking twice, delete that. Try it again. Take a look at what we're doing. Draw a box, and then let's investigate a little bit further. Troubleshoot, right? Middle mouse button around, and there you go. There's your first problem right there. See, what we've got is we drew a mouse over it, but we didn't select these back faces. So we only selected the front ones. So when we put on the shell, it just cut out those front ones and left the back ones sitting there just like it thought we wanted. So first thought was, well, let's just go ahead and select these faces one by one and then fire off the shell again, and that should work. It doesn't work at all. Rebuild error. You cannot remove all the faces from the body. Please check the faces in the faces to remove list. Well, in class we didn't have time to think about it too much, but here we are. Let's read this again. You cannot remove all the faces from the body. Well, that's an interesting concept. I don't want to remove faces from the body. What I want to do is I want to create a shell from the faces and the body. I want to select the entire, all the faces and the body. I want to select this entire thing, not just faces. Look over here. I've just selected faces. There they are right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 faces, 6 faces. Well, I don't want it. So that's led me to the understanding that I'm just selecting the faces of the solid body, and that's not what I want. I want to select the entire solid body. So let me X out of that, and let's try it again. This time I'm going to think to myself, how did I create this solid body? I know I started with a sketch, and here's the sketch right here, and then I applied this boss extrude feature. Well, the boss extrude feature is the thing that created not only the faces, but also the body. That's the thing that holds all of this solid piece. So that's what I should be clicking on, not just the individual faces. So there we go. So if I go here and I click on boss extrude, and then I fire off the shell tool, I don't add any faces. I can go here to show preview, and then I get this nice preview. So because I selected not only the faces but also the body by selecting the thing that created both of those things, which was the boss extrude, it allows me to fire off the shell in the way that I want. Hit the green checkbox, take a look at the section view, and realize we have succeeded in our attempts to hollow out this cube with a certain wall thickness. There we go. So we'll exit out of that. All right, now moving on, let's take a look. One of the things we also realized is that we'd want to take this and split it into two parts. So I'm going to go here to my right plane, and I'm going to go and create a sketch on my right plane. I'm going to look normal to my sketch, and I'm going to take a nice spline tool and just drop a nice spline right in here. Let's make it look good if possible. Escape. Nice spline, making sure that the line continues past the edges of the cube. Take a look at that in 3D, and there you go. You can see the little edges sticking out, and you can see where it goes dotted through the middle. All right, so now what do I want to do? I want to split this cube into two different pieces using this line as the split tool. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to go to direct editing. I'm going to go to split. It's going to ask me to select trim tool. It's already made the assumption for me that I want to use this sketch as my trim tool, but I could just as easily clear that selection. And just in case SolidWorks has selected the wrong thing or something that I don't want to use as its trim tool, you just do a right click and clear the selection. Then you can go here to the line and you can add it manually. And then we just go cut part. Okay. Well, next piece of instruction that you received was to go here and to double click on each one of the two bodies that you've created from your split. You see that what SolidWorks did, it took that line, extruded it in both ways, and split your part into two bodies. And now what we want to do is create individual files for this bottom body and the top body. So double click here and we get another warning. Your part has to be saved first. So there's that. Let's exit out of that. We're going to have to shut this split feature down for a second. And we're just going to have to go and save our work, same way we do in everything. Main. Okay, good. Now that it's saved, we'll go back, we'll fire off our split, go cut part, and then it's going to cut it back into two pieces. Okay, so let's talk some more. In class, there was some confusion about what does this little checkbox do, this little pair of scissors here. After careful investigation, I've realized, for all of our good, that this is the thing that links this file to the two files that we're going to create off of this file. So you have to make sure that these two boxes are checked. Now that they're checked, you can double click one by one and create a new file from what this is. This is the top one. So I'm going to call it main top. There we go. And you can see that it updates the name there. This little call out. And then on this one, I'm going to double click that one and I'm going to call it main bottom. And there we go. It updates that. And so now what we just did, or what we're about to do when we hit this green checkbox, is we're going to create two new files off of this one. Green checkbox. SolidWorks is going to freak out a little bit. It's going to do some stuff. One of the things it's going to do, if you go down here to your SolidWorks logos, you're going to see it has now opened the two new files that you created. So there they are. And we have our main one as well. So these two that I just opened, you can shut these down. You don't need them for right now. But the main one, let's play with that. This is going to be our master file. Because we hit those two black checkboxes that I just showed you in our split feature, these two right here, we now have created a link between this file here and those two other files. So anything we do to this file will now be updated in those other two files. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Okay, now one of the things that I want to do right off the bat is I want to add a fillet that goes on all four of these edges and the top and bottom. I want to fillet this thing like crazy. Okay? But I've got this split feature kind of in my way. So if I go to fillet and I select these edges, I can only select them one at a time. It's a lot of clicking. I could select the top one and then I can select the bottom one. And it's not really working. Let me show you guys a trick. What you can do is you can go to this blue bar right here, which is usually the end of your design tree. And if you hover over it, it turns into a little hand. Well, you can grab that bar and you can roll up to before you added the split. Let's take a look. There we go. Now you see if I pull that bar up past the split goes away. You can still see it's here, it's grayed out, but it's like we've traveled back in time to before we created this split. Let's go here now and add a fillet, and you see we have the option to grab this whole side. Look at that. Voila. We'll go there. We'll go here. Bump up those fillets a bunch. Throw one on the bottom. There we go. And we'll hit the green checkbox and confirm that's what we like. It is what we like, and that's a great thing to find out. But we see some problems too. Look at this. What's this here? What's that? It looks like the shell that we created earlier and the fillets together is causing the interior wall thickness to poke through where that fillet has trimmed off the exterior surface. Well, there's a solution for that, and this is it. If we look over here, here's the fillet that we just added. There we go. It's a nice big fillet too, and that's why. It's taken away so much material from what used to be a cube that the interior wall is sticking out the side. So what do we do about that? Well, if we grab this fillet, just like that, and click with our left mouse button and hold, we can actually drag this feature up the design tree to land before we applied the shell. Let's do it. You see, when we drag it, we get this little orange kind of yellow arrow, just like that. So I'm just going to drag it to right before the shell and drop it. And hopefully it's going to work. Come on, baby. Do it. Let me close this boss extrude. All right, there we go. So it's a finagly little thing that you got to do, and it's going to take a second to grab it and get it to slide in there. SolidWorks doesn't like this sort of behavior. It likes to create its design tree in its own little way, and it doesn't like it when you, the silly human user, go in and mess around with what its perfect order is, but you can do it. And this is a scenario where it's perfect. It's a good example, right? We want to keep the fillet we added. We took a long time to decide this fillet. We just want to make sure that it fits into the design tree before the shell. So we just drag it up to the position we want. Now that it's landed before the shell, our whole shell is going to have this fillet included in it. And if we go over the shell, we see there's our preview, and you can see that the shell continues into the, or sorry, you can see that the fillet continues on the shell as well. So now that we're done with that, we can grab this little bar here, and we can pull it back down to reapply our split, and it's going to split the part in half. There we go. Okay, so now when we go and close this file, we're going to get this warning here. One or more of your documents being closed as a result of this operation have been modified. So remember, we created two files off of this main one that were both different before. And now SolidWorks is telling us, hey, because you modified this main one, I'm going to modify those other two files that you made off this split. So are you sure you want me to do that? Do you want me to save all of them, save this one and the other two? And you're going to say, yes, please, save all. And then it shuts down, okay? Now, if I shut this down and I go to any of those files that I created off of the main one, and I open it up, you can see that it has updated what used to be that blocky block with a swoopy cut. It has updated it to have all of those fun radiuses that we added before. Okay, and it's all because of those little black check boxes that we checked in the resulting bodies of the split. So I'm going to do save all again, and I'm going to go save all again. Okay, so that's that. All right, so give that a shot. Don't forget to hit those little black check boxes and play around with this concept that we can move features around in the design tree, and we can move that little blue bar up and down to go back and forward in time. It's a tricky scenario, and you have the opportunity to mess stuff up that way, but as we're learning, running into problems is only an opportunity to learn more. Okay, so I'm going to shut this video down, and in the next video, I'm going to open up a new assembly, and we're going to pop those new parts that we made into the assembly with the master file, and everything is going to work absolutely perfectly. Thanks for watching.